Snow has a way of making everything feel quiet, almost peaceful. It softens the world, covers mistakes, hides footprints. And when the wind starts pushing that snow sideways, when the roads disappear and the sky turns the same color as the ground, you realize how small you are. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 scary, supposedly true stories that all happened on snowy nights. The kind where help can't reach you, and whatever's out there doesn't have to hurry. I was 21 when it happened, and I still can't hear a knock at night without feeling sick. It was late December. I was living alone in a tiny rental house just outside a small town. The kind of place where the nearest neighbor is far enough away that their porch light looks like a star through the trees. That night, the snow started around 7 p.m. At first it was light, pretty even. I remember standing at my kitchen window, watching it fall in the yellow glow of the street lamp. But by 10, it got heavy. The wind picked up and the power flickered twice. I had just shut off the living room TV and was heading to bed when I heard it. A knock. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just 3 slow taps on the front door. At first, I thought it was my imagination. The house creaked a lot in winter. But then it came again. Tap, tap, tap. My stomach tightened. No one visited me that late, and if they did, they would have called first. I walked toward the door, careful, quiet. My living room was dim except for the hallway light behind me. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. Just darkness and swirling snow. I waited, and after a few seconds, I started to feel stupid. Maybe it was a branch. Maybe the wind. Tap, tap, tap. This time it wasn't the front door. It came from the window next to it. I froze. That window was old, the kind that rattled when the wind hit it. But this wasn't rattling. This was deliberate. I stepped closer, heart thumping, and leaned in to look between the blinds. A face was there. Pale skin. Wide eyes. The top half of someone's face pressed close to the glass like they were trying to see inside. I jumped back so hard I almost fell. For a second I couldn't breathe. Then I heard a voice, muffled through the glass. Hello? It sounded like a woman. Weak. Cold. Please, can you help me? I didn't answer. I just stood there, staring at the blinds like they were the only thing keeping me alive. The voice came again. I'm lost. My car. I can't find my car. It's so cold. My brain tried to make it make sense. Maybe she crashed. Maybe she wandered from the road. But something felt wrong. Because her voice didn't sound like panic. It sounded rehearsed. Like she was reading lines she'd practiced. I finally forced myself to speak, my voice shaking. Who are you? A pause. Then, my name is Ashley. Another pause. I think my phone died. I just need to come in for a minute. Please. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and called 911 with shaking fingers. The call barely went through. I told the dispatcher someone was outside my house, in the middle of a blizzard, asking to come in. The dispatcher asked if the person was injured. I went back to the window and pulled one blind up just a tiny bit, barely enough to peek. The face was still there. But now I could see more of it. Her mouth was slightly open. Her lips looked gray. But what really hit me was the way she wasn't blinking. Not once. Just staring through the glass like her eyes were glued in place. I whispered, "She's right here." The dispatcher told me to stay inside, keep my doors locked, and that an officer would come as soon as possible, though the storm was making roads dangerous. I asked her what I should do about the woman outside. Before the dispatcher could answer, the knocking started again. Not taps. Harder now. Bam, bam, bam. Not on the door. On the window. And the voice changed. It wasn't soft anymore. Open the door. I felt every hair on my body stand up. The dispatcher heard it and asked what was happening. I backed away, almost tripping over the couch. Then the voice said something that still makes my blood run cold. I can see you. And then, quieter. I can see you breathing. The knocking stopped. For a second, there was only the sound of the wind. Then I heard footsteps. Crunching snow. Moving away from the window. Toward the side of the house. I ran to the back window, peeking through the curtain. All I saw was snow blowing sideways. But I heard something else now. A faint scraping sound, like fingers dragging along the siding. Slow. Patient. Like whoever it was circling the house. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line, stay away from windows, and if I had a weapon, keep it nearby. I grabbed a kitchen knife. It felt pathetic. Like I was a kid holding a plastic sword. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. And went out. The house dropped into darkness so complete it felt like I'd been blindfolded. I heard my own breathing in my ears, loud and fast. And then, a knock again. But this time, it came from inside the house. From the hallway. Right outside my bedroom door. 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. I swear my heart stopped. I hadn't moved. I hadn't walked down that hall. There was no way. But the tapping came again. Tap, tap, tap. The dispatcher was saying my name, asking if I was there. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even swallow. I just stared into the darkness where the hallway began, waiting for something to step into the faint glow of my phone screen. And then I heard it. A woman's voice. Right behind my bedroom door. Soft again. Calm again. Please let me in. The dispatcher suddenly shouted. Sir, get out of the house now. I didn't question it. I didn't think. I ran. Barefoot. Knife still in my hand. I slammed through the back door and into the snow. The cold hit like a punch. The wind stole my breath. But I didn't stop. I ran into the yard, toward my shed, because it was the only place I could think of. I got inside and slammed the door, shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. The dispatcher stayed with me, trying to keep me calm. 5 minutes later, flashing lights lit up the snow outside like a nightmare Christmas display. 2 officers came through the yard and pulled me out. They went into my house with their weapons drawn. When they came back out, their faces were tight. One officer asked me, "Do you have an attic access hatch?" I said yes. In the hallway ceiling. He nodded slowly like he already knew the answer. Then he said something I still hear in my dreams. "We found wet footprints on your hallway carpet." He paused. Bare footprints. He looked at my feet. Covered in snow, red with cold. They weren't yours. They searched the house and found the attic hatch slightly open. And inside the attic, they found a folded blanket, a candy wrapper, and a woman's scarf. Like someone had been living up there. Watching. Waiting. But the worst part. The officer said they never found anyone outside. No tracks leading away. Only tracks leading to my house. And they started at the road, then stopped halfway across my yard, like whoever made them. Just vanished into the snow. This happened when I was in high school. I used to take a late bus home after basketball practice. The route went through country roads, where the streetlights were few and the trees leaned in close like they were listening. One night, we got out later than usual. It had started snowing during practice, and by the time we boarded the bus, the sky was thick and white. There were only 5 of us on the bus. Me, 2 freshmen, a tired-looking woman in a long coat, and the driver, an older guy named Ron. The heater was blasting, making the windows fog up. Outside was just darkness and snow. Ron drove slower than usual, hands tight on the wheel. Every now and then, the bus would slide slightly, and we'd all go quiet until it stabilized. About 15 minutes into the ride, Ron muttered, "That ain't good." I leaned forward. "What?" He pointed through the windshield. Up ahead on the shoulder, half covered in snow, was a car. Hazards blinking weakly. Driver's side door open. Ron slowed. "Should I stop?" The woman in the coat spoke for the first time. Her voice was thin. "Don't." Ron glanced in the mirror. "Ma'am?" She stared ahead, unblinking. "Don't stop. Keep going." One of the freshmen laughed nervously. "What if someone's hurt?" The woman didn't look at him. She just said, "If you stop, you won't leave." The bus got quiet. Ron hesitated. But he still slowed, pulling over a little. He cracked the bus door open, letting in a blast of freezing air. "Hello?" he called out. The snow swallowed his voice. Then someone answered from outside. A man's voice. "Hey! Please! I need help." I squinted through the foggy window. I could barely make out a shape moving near the car. Ron started to step down. And the woman in the coat stood up fast, like she'd been waiting for this moment. She grabbed Ron's arm. "Don't." Ron looked irritated. "Lady, someone could freeze out there." She leaned close to his ear and said something so quiet I couldn't hear it. But whatever it was made Ron go pale. He slowly closed the bus door. Then he put the bus back into drive and pulled away. The freshmen started protesting, angry and confused. One of them even yelled, "What's wrong with you?" Ron didn't answer. He just drove faster. As we passed the car, I looked out. The person on the shoulder turned toward the bus. And in the dim light from our headlights, I saw his face. Or what was left of it. It looked like skin stretched too tight over bone, like it didn't fit. His mouth was smiling too wide, and his eyes reflected the headlights like an animal's. And he lifted his hand. Not to wave, but to point. Straight at me. My stomach flipped. I snapped my head forward, heart racing. I didn't want to look back. I didn't want to see if he was still there. But I did anyway. And I wish I hadn't. Because the car was gone. The hazards gone. The open door gone. The shoulder was empty. Just snow. I blinked hard, thinking maybe the snow hid it, but no. There was nothing. Not even tire tracks. Like it had never existed. The bus was dead silent now. Even the freshmen stopped talking. The woman in the coat sat back down, her hands folded, calm like she just saved us from a storm. Ron drove us all the way without stopping again. When we finally reached my stop, I stood up shakily. Before I got off, I glanced at the woman. "Why did you stop him?" I asked. Her eyes met mine, and they looked tired. "Ancient," she said. "Because that thing wasn't asking for help." I swallowed. "What was it then?" She looked past me, out the fogged window. "A trap," she whispered. "It likes warm places." Then she added something that didn't hit me until later. "And it already knows your face." I stepped off the bus and the cold hit me instantly. The bus pulled away, its red taillights fading into the snow. I watched until they disappeared. And then I noticed something on the road behind it. Footprints. Bare footprints. Following the path of the bus, one step at a time. Even though nothing should have been able to walk in that blizzard. I ran inside and locked the door. That night, around 2 a.m., my bedroom window started to fog. From the outside. Like someone was breathing on it. And then 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. A friend of mine, I'll call him Marcus, told me this story, and he swore on everything it was true. Marcus and his girlfriend rented a small cabin for a weekend getaway in the mountains. No neighbors. No cell signal. Just pine trees, snow, and silence. They arrived just before dark. The cabin was cozy, with a fireplace, a small kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. It looked normal. Warm. The snow started falling heavier around midnight. They were lying in bed when Marcus heard something outside. A crunch. Then another. Footsteps. Slow steps circling the cabin. Marcus sat up and listened. The footsteps stopped. Then came a soft sound, like someone brushing snow off wood. His girlfriend whispered, "Is that an animal?" Marcus didn't answer. He slid out of bed and quietly walked to the living room. The windows were dark. The fire was dying down. He peered out through the curtain. Nothing. Just snow and trees. He was about to go back when he heard it. A faint, wet cough. From the other side of the front door. His breath caught. He stepped closer. Another cough. Then a voice, raspy and strained. "Help, please." Marcus hesitated. Every horror movie instinct screamed at him not to open the door. But the voice sounded real. Human. Weak. He called out, "Who are you?" A pause. Then, "I'm lost. I can't feel my hands." Marcus moved to the kitchen and grabbed his phone. No signal. He looked around for the landline. The cabin didn't have one. The voice outside became more urgent. "Please! I can't. I'm going to die out here." Marcus's girlfriend came into the living room, hugging herself. "We should help them," she whispered. Marcus stared at the door. Something felt off. Not just because it was late and snowing. Because the voice never moved. It stayed exactly the same distance away, like whoever was out there was standing perfectly still, not shifting their weight, not pacing, not shivering. Marcus asked again, "Where did you come from?" The voice replied instantly, "The road." Marcus frowned. The road was a long walk from the cabin, and you wouldn't stumble here by accident. You'd have to know it existed. He walked to a side window and peeked out. Still nothing. No silhouette. No movement. But then he noticed something that made his skin crawl. The snow directly in front of the door was untouched. No footprints. No disturbed snow. Like no one had walked up to it. The voice whispered again. Please let me in. Marcus's girlfriend looked like she was going to cry. Marcus swallowed hard and said, We're calling for help. The voice stopped. Then came a slow inhale. A long, deep breath. Like whoever it was had been holding it. And then, the voice changed. It became smooth. Clear. Almost amused. You can't. And then the doorknob turned. Slowly. Marcus grabbed the nearest thing, a fireplace poker, and stood back. The lock held. The knob rattled, then stopped. Silence. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then the cabin lights flickered. Once. Twice. And the fire in the fireplace suddenly guttered like something had sucked the air out of the room. Marcus's girlfriend whispered, Marcus! He turned. And saw the hallway door. The door to the second bedroom. It was open now. They had shut it earlier. Marcus walked toward it slowly, poker raised. The hallway was dark. Cold. And from inside that second bedroom, he heard breathing. Not outside. Inside. Someone was in there. Marcus's girlfriend started crying quietly. We didn't bring anyone. Marcus pushed the door open with the poker. The room was empty. No one. But the closet door was slightly ajar. Marcus stared at it. Then the closet door opened wider, by itself. Just enough to show darkness inside. Then a voice came from the closet. A whisper, right at human height. Thank you? Marcus yanked his girlfriend by the arm and ran for the front door. He unlocked it, flung it open, and stopped dead. Outside was just snow. But now the snow in front of the cabin was full of footprints. Dozens. Hundreds. All circling the cabin in tight loops like something had been walking around it for hours. And the strangest part? The footprints didn't look like boots. They looked like bare feet. Too long. With toes that seemed wrong. Marcus slammed the door shut and locked it again. They backed away, trapped, both shaking. Then they heard it. From the roof. A slow dragging sound. Like something crawling above them. Their eyes went up. And the ceiling creaked. Then, 3 slow knocks from directly overhead. Tap, tap, tap. Marcus said he didn't sleep that night. They sat on the couch with the poker and a kitchen knife, staring at the ceiling while the snowstorm raged outside. The next morning, the storm had died. They ran to the car and drove down the mountain as fast as they could. They didn't stop until they reached a gas station in the nearest town. That's when Marcus noticed something in the back seat. A scarf. Not theirs. Damp with melted snow. And when he lifted it, he found a candy wrapper inside it. The same brand Marcus kept in his jacket pocket. He checked his pocket. It was empty. Like someone had been close enough to take it while he slept. Or worse. Like someone had been in the car with them the whole way down the mountain. So those were 3 scary true snowy night horror stories. And honestly, snow makes it worse. Because it doesn't just hide the road. It hides the evidence, and it hides whatever is standing just a few feet away, watching you through the white. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.